The rain had softened the gravel drive into a dark ribbon, and the manor smelled of wet stone and roses bruised by wind. Inside the drawing room, firelight shivered against tall windows, turning the glass into amber sheets. Two sisters stood side by side, the space between them as deliberate as a held breath. Elena stood nearest the hearth. Her gown was dove gray, simple, stitched by her own careful hands. Smoke had kissed her hair, darkening the curl at her nape. She kept her chin level, fingers laced, eyes lowered not in shame but in habit learned from years of being passed over without explanation. The warmth of the fire did not reach her. It never seemed to. Beside her, Maribel gleamed. Her silk dress caught the light as if it had been waiting for it. Pearls trembled at her throat. Their father's hand rested lightly on her shoulder, a claiming touch, proud and certain. He smiled in the way men smiled when they believed the world would agree with them. The Duke arrived without ceremony, the sound of his boots subdued on the rug. He smelled faintly of rain and leather. His coat bore the marks of travel, his hands were scarred, clean, steady. He took in the room as if listening for something beneath the obvious, beneath the crackle of the fire, beneath the polite murmurs. Introductions were made. The father spoke of lineage and land, of alliances that would strengthen borders. He gestured toward Maribel with a small, practiced sweep. "Take the pretty one," he said, not unkindly. Practical. As though choosing a horse. Elena did not flinch. She had long ago trained herself not to. She watched the Duke's eyes move not to Maribel's face, but to the hearth, to the window, to the shelf where a cracked teacup sat mended with a fine seam of gold. His gaze lingered there, thoughtful, almost tender. Maribel smiled, a little nervous now. The room felt too quiet. The Duke asked for tea. Elena poured it. Her hands did not shake. The teapot was warm, familiar. As she set the cup down, a drop splashed onto the saucer. She wiped it with her thumb, then with a cloth, apologizing softly. The Duke noticed the way she did not fuss, did not pretend perfection. He noticed the faint burn scar at her wrist, pale against skin. "You meant things," he said, nodding toward the cup. "Yes," Elena answered. "When they're worth keeping." The words settled. Outside, rain eased into a whisper. Conversation resumed, but something had shifted. The Duke asked questions that had nothing to do with acreage. What books were kept here? Who rose first in the mornings? What was done with broken fences after storms? Maribel answered brightly, "Rehearsed." Elena answered when asked, briefly, honestly. Later, when the father suggested a walk through the gardens, Elena lingered behind to bank the fire. The Duke paused. He watched her hands move with care, adding a log just so, coaxing the flame instead of forcing it. "I have been to this house before," he said quietly. Elena looked up, startled. "You have?" "Years ago," he said. "In winter. I was not a duke then. I was a boy who had lost his way." Memory opened like a door. A night of snow. A knock at the servant's entrance. A shivering stranger offered broth and a place near the kitchen fire. Elena had been younger, hair unbound, sleeves rolled. She had stitched a tear in his glove while he slept. "You gave me tea," he continued, voice steady. "You told me stories so I wouldn't hear the wolves." Elena's breath caught. She had never known where that boy went. She had never thought to wonder. "I learned something that night," the Duke said. "About warmth that lasts." When they returned to the drawing room, the father straightened, hopeful. The Duke stood between the sisters, the fire behind him. "I choose Elena," he said. Silence bloomed. The father protested. Maribel stared, wounded but quiet, as if understanding arrived before speech. The Duke did not raise his voice. "I do not need beauty that turns away from weather," he said. "I need someone who stays." Later, as the rain cleared and the house exhaled, Elena stood at the window. The world felt larger, kinder. Not because she had been chosen, but because she had always been seen and now, at last, believed. Some lives change with grand gestures. Others turn on a small, mended seam, held together by gold. If this story touched your heart and moved you in any way, please like the video, comment, share it with someone who need a little hope today, and make sure you subscribe to Humanity Diaries. Your support help us continue emotional and meaningful stories to the world. Please comment below which part of story touched you the most.